following is a presentation of TFNN. The Bull Bear Binary Option Hour. Brought to you by Nadex. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, Tommy O'Brien, and Darrell Martin.
Welcome, folks. Tommy O'Brien and our man Basil Chapman filling in. We have Darrell out feeling under the weather, so we wish him the best. And my dad is running around with a few errands. So, Mr. Basil Chapman, what is going on a Monday?
Hi, Tommy. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How about you? Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. I'm pleased I was able to do that. Now, of course, this is going to be quite an important week, at least for me, because there are a number of factors that are coming together, and that is on the shorter term, not the intermediate term, but the shorter term. There are, in the Chapman wave, there are certain letters that we look for, and those letters are unfolding. Oops, let me just get rid of that.
It's a busy morning, right, Basil?
Especially when you get surprises, right?
Perfect.
So the Dow itself, why am I missing that? Let me do it one more time. Okay, Dow right there. The Dow is trading at 18,643. What is important about this number, if you look at the one-to-one expansion, there I've got it. The one-to-one expansion from the move that was down in, let me just give it to you exactly, that was the low that was made on June the 27th at 17,063.
Okay, and you're looking at the IND, the Dow?
I'm looking at the daily Dow, and you look at the July the 1st high of 18,002, that 1,000-point rally, when you come back down to on the 6th, the low is 17,713. So 1,000 points up takes you to about the 18,700 level. Where are we now? We're in the 18,638 to 18,650 area. So we are almost to, your dad loved to talk about the A to B equals C to D.
Sure. And
this is a straight line move. It had just 3 days of consolidation, then broke out again. So this whole area of the upper 18,600s is where I'm expecting a lot of resistance to unfold. Now, expecting it to happen and having it happen, as you know, are two different things. But
of course.
But there's only one way to do this, and that is to get either relationships or to look at technicals. Whatever technique you use, if you have a particular goal and the goal is almost achieved, then at that point you have to say, okay, the deed is done, and now the market has to unfold in a certain way for me to be able to get my next reading. And this takes it to leg E in the Chapman wave, and that's very important because right about a D, E, or an F is where you can start to get a pullback. But you look at this, and the MACD, the moving average, is trying to cross a positive, but it hasn't yet. Stochastic is actually quite strong at 86%. So I have some conflicting technicals in the daily. Also, the price rise, I'm a little surprised the MACD, the moving average convergence divergent, hasn't crossed up sharply from here. So I am looking at it and saying, okay, I think from the purpose that we had for, at least for my service, the opening call, we were long from about 2 Wednesdays ago, just off the bottom at 8,002, I think it was like 8,260 or something. And because we had a different instrument, and we took profits on Friday, and we actually switched positions just for a small position because I think there's limited upside at this point. However, looking at the weekly, and this is something I'm going to be discussing tomorrow night in my webinar, one of the things that's really important is that the weekly and monthly charts in all time frames are very strong. And that doesn't mean to say that you can't get a sharp move to the downside, but what I like to look at is you've got to have, these are two absolute requisites for a sustained move to the downside. You've got to have bad news, and that bad news must permeate the market. It starts off like on a Thursday or a Wednesday, and it hits the market, and then market tries to bounce back. But when you start to get that news, when it increases in both velocity and intensity and momentum, then all of a sudden you've got bad news that's filtering into the market, which is one ingredient to keep the market down, to push it down. It's like a cork in water, because every time it stops having bad news, pop, it comes right back up. So that's the one ingredient. And the other ingredient is the volatility index. The VIX index, as far as I'm concerned, I've used it for a very long time. It's trading at 1171 right now. It's under the teens. It's actually under the 12s, which is really quite significant. And if you're looking at the chart, Larry had just mentioned in his show, but look at the way that the monthly chart is being. You've gone, I always talk about 4 peaks in the Chapman. If you went to your peak D in that bank crisis of October of 2008 at 89.53, but we've traded for a long time underneath 19, but also a very long time slipping down into the low teens, and now we're back into the 11 area to the 10s. So until that volatility index turns around and becomes that means that fund managers and hedge fund managers are starting to buy. These are the big people. They are starting to buy insurance. And when they buy insurance, that's when it increases. So I'm thinking
nobody's buying insurance right now, right?
It might be a little more complex, but in the standard procedure, the way you'd normally look at the market, I don't think there are many people buying insurance.
Yeah,
correct.
Which is remarkable when you have headlines like we had last week, making all-time new highs in all 3 indices for the first time since '99, and those types of accelerations upward, and not to have some type of fear in the market, especially with the volatility that we've had off Brexit and stuff like that as news makes its way. And we have a presidential election coming up.
Correct.
In terms of all of that involved. Okay, we will come back, folks. This is Basil Chapman, Tommy O'Brien. It is the Bull Bear Binary Option Hour. If you haven't tried Nadex, folks, download it right from the front page TFNN. We'll talk about it more when we come back. Dow is up 69, Nasdaq's up 20, S&P is up 5. Come on back.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.
Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionics, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. We take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back, folks. Basil Chapman, Tommy O'Brien, the Bull Bear Binary Option Hour. Dow is up 75, NASDAQ up 20. So, Basil, let's talk a little bit about that workshop that you're going to be doing tomorrow night? Yeah, tomorrow night. Time is flying, man. August 16th, right?
Yeah. So this is going to be very interesting because this is a period where I really want to focus more on the longer term, the intermediate term to longer term charts. I want you to say to subscribers, okay, we've gotten to where we are. This is a period where we were expecting, let me just put the Dow chart up here so we can talk apples to apples.
Because we talked about this like a few weeks ago as you told me you wanted to do this. And of course, I mean, the market is just crushing it with new highs as it got announced. But go ahead.
Right, and the Dow was a couple of hundred points below where it was in the last peak of 18,622. But everything I did said there's a really good chance that not only will we make new highs in this period right now, meaning the July into August period, but after that, even if there's a very sharp pullback, there's a very good chance, based on the work that I've done and based on the Chapman Wave methodology, that says we should still go to higher highs in 2016. And the backdrop, as you mentioned, is, first of all, it's really unusual for us to be in a situation where there are conflicts in all areas, whether it's economic, with the economic story having, it's really a tale of 3 or 4 different stories. The jobs, yep, there are jobs, but there aren't any jobs. It depends where you're looking. It depends what age groups. If you are a 55-year-old person who's in a particular field and you lose your job, it is way more difficult now to find a job as it has been historically. So this is a very unusual time politically. I can find other times that there was this kind of conflagration going on. But yeah, it's very interesting. But I look at the chart and I like to say, I want to do the X-ray or the MRI of the chart. I want to look at it, and I don't care what the patient looks like to me visually. I want to see what the patient looks like internally. And internally, you can see that in the weekly chart, we've got what I call a peak D and an E. So we're in leg E. You can see this dash line. I'll make it a little thicker now so that people who are looking at Tiger TV can actually see this.
Yep, and I can see it, the 17.5%. Is that what that line is correlating to?
Yeah, so what I'm doing right now, that thick line is a resistance line. I just try to make it as easy as possible. I'm connecting peaks.
Sure.
And that says that if the S&P, if the Dow is able to break into the 18,780s or 18,800s, this week, that is going to be very positive, and it's broken a trend line. And that's going to be very important because that trend line will come not necessarily an area of support, but it says that it is raising the base of support, and that's very important. But wait a minute, look at the pattern that we're talking about. I'll be spending some time tomorrow night on this. It's called the Chapman Wave Stalk Leg Formation. Basically, it's the leg, it's the body, and you break the body, and you've got the neck. And you know, a stalk likes to stand on one leg.
Sure.
And it's got this weight. This is the oval pattern.
Okay.
And when it breaks out, you've got the long neck. But this neck is leg C. And the Chapman Wave methodology, we like to look at 4 higher peaks. When you get to D, other things can happen. We haven't got to D. We're still in leg C.
And that's on the monthly, the longer term.
And that's what I'm pointing out, that this is monthly chart. Look at the S&P, the SPX. The S&P is in leg B. It's even earlier, and that suggests that the S&P will be, at least at this point, will be 1 leg behind the Dow, which gives it an extra 2 months before you can make your peak D. So whatever it takes for the Dow to get to that D. And here's the weekly chart. We've already done over 21% increase just from the low that was made in February. So this year already is a spectacular year.
It is. It is.
So my thinking is that it's going to be sharp, scary pullback, but at this point, with this particular pattern that I'm looking at, it also says you won't get the duration. So it'll be points rather than time if we do get some kind of a sharp sell-off coming up in the next couple of weeks. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Cool.
And
So I see that you have the daily, weekly, monthly. Do you use those three time frames? Are you looking at charts intra-day as well when you're looking at it?
I use everything. Let me show you something. Here's the 2-minute E-mini.
We'll go right to the extreme. Perfect.
Yeah, it made a peak D. That's what we look for, Ds. It pulls back sharply. It's retesting the top. If it breaks out above it, above 21.88.25, that's very positive because that says that could now be not E, but it could be an E/B. We want to get to a D. So I go from every time frame if I'm trading. I like to enter with a shorter time frame, and then I'll try to add to it. And if you go, say, to the 10-minute chart right here, that's the 60-minute chart. The 60-minute chart is in leg E. So yes, I do this in all time frames. Now, I've spent a lot of time over the weekend working on just reviewing certain books that are my favorite books that go back to the 1920s. And the only reason why I'm looking at it is that there are so many parallels in this particular period that match. And I keep emphasizing, it doesn't mean to say that we're going to have a worldwide depression. It just means that we could have sector rotation. For instance, in Florida, you could almost call it a depression in terms of real estate. Even though it was short in time, it was unbelievable in points for houses and real estate.
A huge collapse, for sure.
We didn't see that in the Northeast. In fact, I would say in some parts of the Northeast, depends where you are. I'm in the Boston area. Maybe you got down to, some places might have been 15% lower, but most of them held very steady between 10
there were just some huge
12%.
pockets, right? I mean, Florida, Las Vegas, for sure.
Correct. And now what we've got right through the Northeast, going right through to New York, it's an incredible period that we're going through. There is very little land in Boston that's not being used for building.
I imagine, right?
We had free land. Well, I mean, Tommy, when he comes down to the Boston area,
sure.
Every time it's just like it's breathtaking. And in the next 2 years, we've got skyscrapers coming up. Boston's never had skyscrapers. They have one building, one, and then maybe another one 40 years later. This is very unusual. And to me, it's creating a situation where just the normal swing from no apartments or no hotels to an excessive amount coming up says that there should be some kind of serious consolidation in real estate. So I'm looking at all these, and I think that we're going to go in for a period that's going to be very unusual because it's going to be quite selective in the rotation through just getting things sorted out. I call it a period of excessivity.
And I think the rates, and I know you're going to talk about that, I'm sure, Tuesday, but, the rate environment, right, of free money existing for those real estate. I mean, you talk about whether it's residential and commercial. As we know, with my dad being into real estate, zero rate environment for whether it's retail buyers or whatnot on a mortgage.
It's a gift.
It's a gift. Yeah.
And people are taking advantage, and of course they should take advantage.
Over and over, right? Refinancing everything. If that market really starts to try and creep up, that will play into that as to how that affects, and maybe we are in a bubble because of that.
Right, even if it's selective, correct. Yeah.
For sure. Okay, folks, we have the Dow up 85, NASDAQ up 24, S&P up 6. We're continuing to creep up. Basil Chapman, Tommy O'Brien, Bull Bear Binary Option Hour. Come on back.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you like it does me, visit everbank.com/TFNN to find out what they can do for you. Again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. Visit them today. Everbank is a member, FDIC, and equal housing lender.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, Nasdaq, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
TFNN is excited to offer a brand new piece of market scanning software unlike anything the industry has ever seen. John Logan and his team have spent years developing their market profile tools to finally be able to release the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. And right now you can get a 2-week trial absolutely free just by visiting TFNN.com and providing us your name and email address. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is the premier market profile-based scanner in the industry. Powered by the acclaimed TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner is a standalone desktop software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Within 3 minutes of signing up, you can have the software downloaded and running on your computer with a complete roadmap of market indicators and inflection points to trade off using the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. Sign up today and try this amazing piece of software by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back. Basil Chapman, Tommy O'Brien, Bull Bear Binary Option Hour. Dow's up 86, Nasdaq still up 25, S&P up 6. So Basil, I was just going over and I was taking a look at some of the binary options, and I have it up available in the den on the Dow, and I was looking at even some 20-minute indices options, which Nadex has on just some of the indices expiring every 20 minutes. So those right now have about 9 minutes until expiration, and then they have 11 a.m. ones. So can you pull up on your chart one of those 2-minute charts looking at the Dow?
So I'm going to go to the crude oil continuous contract. I think I might be a little behind. I've got leg A, B, C, and there should be a D, and the D should go above 45.41, and I'm not sure where we are right now.
Sorry, I was saying for the Dow.
Oh, for the Dow. Oh, that's easy. Okay.
That you had been looking at, yeah.
Yes. So the Dow is A, B, C, D, E, and it's in a leg F. Now, this is, so you got how many minutes? Say 5 minutes.
So
right?
it's 8 minutes and 30 seconds exactly. They have it clocked down until the 10:40 a.m. ones expire, and then I have the 11 a.m. ones up. They leave 28 minutes, depending on the risk reward and how it sets up as well.
Okay, so let me do this quickly. He has A, B, C, D, extends up, and it could be an alternate count, but I'm going to call it F just for now, and I'll put a /B. I have to do that because there's a chap wave technique that says that right here, going so quickly from D to the next leg, says it could be an instant restart. Then what I would do is I would have this chart ready to go. I'd put this chart up over here. Oops, let me just grab it. I'd put it up over here. And next to it, I would have the 2-minute chart right there. And the 2-minute chart is extending A, B, C. So this is the E-mini. The Dow should be pretty much the same. The Dow is the new, okay. All right, so I'd be looking at this and I'd say, okay, in the 2-minute chart, I've got 18,665. And what would I expect? The pressure that I'm looking at right now, and I would also have a quick look at the VIX index. The VIX is now pulling back just a little bit, says that there should be some resistance. So what strike price would you have? So
here's what I just found interesting, so I pull it up. So the indicative index, which is the Dow 30, is trading right now at 18,618. And maybe we're looking at different months, Basil. because I see yours trading at 658. So
18,665.
Yeah, and what I have, the one is the September futures trading at 18,617.
Oh, I'm sorry, you've got the futures. Let me go right to
okay.
the futures. No,
so I'm sure it's similar, but that's where it
No, actually, futures can be a little bit different in the pattern because they've started earlier. They're just continuing. You see, the Dow's only opening at 9:30.
Sure, no, for sure, yeah.
B, C, D, E, A, B, C. Yes, this should go higher.
Okay.
And I don't think it's going to go all that much higher.
So, this is something that as people come over, download the demo account, right, and you can get used to it. This is something that I enjoyed playing with, and I say playing with because there's high risk reward, 6 minutes until expiration or 26 minutes. But it's enjoyable, and it allows you to see kind of the potential. So we were trading at 618. We're now at 620. That's actually a huge difference in terms of how these trade with 6 minutes left. So right now we're at 18,620 right on the dot. The 18,613 you could sell at 84, which means you're basically risking the difference between 84 and 100. So you'd be risking 16 to make 84 for a 7-point Dow move in 6 minutes. Now, in the same respect, that's a little short term. You're really opening yourself up to just, an immediate move. I pulled it up with about 12 minutes left, and sometimes there, I feel like there's a little bit more time just for these. And, you could trade them for a couple hours. Right. This isn't, but just so then you take a look at the 11 a.m.s, right? The 11 a.m.s, this 18,608 is 75. So that's basically a risk 1 to make 3 type trade. So you're looking at only 12 Dow points in 25 minutes for a 3-to-1 risk reward. Which is pretty cool, I think, when you get those types of setups, because 12 Dow points, as long as you're directionally correct within that time, and again, that's the whole key, I think, is the short time frame.
Yes.
But if you're trading them on a continual basis, and you're not just trying to cherry pick a half hour and you're looking for moves on short-term basis, you can be successful. Darrell talks about it all the time. He likes these short-term binaries when you catch a trend, for sure, because the risk rewards can be in your favor, big time.
Very much so. And what I do is, see, I've got here, this is with a Chapman wave, it's a little bit like Darrell. I've got a system that says that I developed that has the resistance points and the support level.
Okay.
So 2189 in the E-mini, if I do that, and I'm going to change that to the Dow right now, I want the futures. So that's YMU16. I've got resistance at 18,623.70.
Okay.
The way I'm looking at this, there should be one little pop. And it might, you see, this is interesting. You said 12 points. 12 points, you say, a stock that's trading at 18,680.
Right, exactly.
Well, it turns out that I only need to go above 18,623 by a fraction. And, by 1 point. And I've made that D, if that's what it is. So when exactly what you're talking to.
So I just looking at different opportunities, right?
Right.
More so than just one trade. So maybe you could wait for that pop and look to the downside and so forth.
That's exactly right. So you were looking at the upside, and I'm saying, wait a minute, if it actually hits that level, I might get a very short-term sell signal. So we've got news probably at 10 o'clock, some kind of report, and maybe that's what's going to trigger it.
Sure.
My way I've started doing this, I do it a lot less, just doing it purely by the waveform. I try to look at the time frames. And if the one time frame still has higher to go for the leg that I need, then it means any pullback in the short term is actually a buying opportunity, because then I want to look at your 11 o'clock.
Sure, yeah.
You see?
Yes.
So what I would do is I would hold off a little bit, unless...
Yeah, and just same thing. So the 11 a.m., we're at 18,617 right now, 18,632. So what is that, 15 points? Yeah, 15 points above the current market.
And you can see it right now. We're in the C, and there should be one quick pop above.
And that type of a trade, just for the risk reward right now, you're only risking 16 to make 84. I mean, that's better than a 5-to-1 with 22 minutes, which, that's a decent amount of time when you're looking at such a short-term trade.
So that's the way I would use it, yes. And so then there are 3 factors that someone like you would be putting into it. One is it the right product that you're buying right at this moment?
Right.
Number 2 is, within the pattern, yes, you might get everything that you want, But this is one of those ironic things where you could be perfectly correct, but a minute late.
Yes, no, true,
10
for
seconds.
sure.
It's not even a
and
minute,
that's why,
10
you know, I love talking about these risk rewards, and you just got to keep in mind that they're there for a reason, as in you're getting that type of risk reward because it's difficult to get that exact point value, because it's exactly correct. You get the move, and you only get it to 16,000, you know, 18,631, and unfortunately, that's a complete 100% loss on that trade when you're 1 point shy.
Right, and not only that, so that's the two ingredients. The third ingredient is exactly what I was going to bring up, which you brought up, which is the risk reward in relation to whatever you're doing. And what I've found absolutely fascinating listening to your growth over the last year or so is that your mathematical mind and the way you think gives you much better opportunities for risk reward. I love that.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I enjoy it and I appreciate it, man. And, you know, it's a lot easier, and my dad talks about it too, analyzing when you have your risk reward in your favor for me. So that's probably why. We'll come back.
Yes.
Come on back, folks.
Okay, great.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. Basil Chapman, Tommy O'Brien, the Bull Bear Binary Option Hour by Nadex. If you haven't tried out Nadex yet, come over to TFNN, click on their link, download it. They'll give you $25,000 of demo money to try it out for yourself, and you can be trading this market right now with us. Yeah, so these binaries, Basil, I appreciate what you're saying about the risk reward, and I just think it suits what I like to look at, and that's why my dad enjoys it as well in terms of analyzing very quickly either 3-to-1 risk reward, 4-to-1 risk reward, and analyzing whether you expect the market to do that. And of course, directional bias and maybe market direction matters, but at least then you're able to, and that's where the demo, you just get used to making sure that the trade you want will capitalize on the move that you expect. And that's kind of what you're talking about, where 1 point shy, maybe you get zero value, and maybe you're just making sure your trading plan as you go into something like that.
Right, and I think also this is the Nadex platform probably is a very good medium for you to find your métier, to find what technique and style suits your temperament. For instance, I know that for me, I can be steady as a rock, but there are times where there's just this craziness that I've always had, just goes in and I'll just put in a trade.
Okay, sure. Very true. No, for sure. And we all do that. We all know that when you do something and, there's an instant thought of, wait a second, did I just rush? Why did I do that? What's going on? Am I just pushing the limits there for no reason? Sure.
I thought through everything else. What the heck did I just do?
Sure.
And sometimes I do the same thing when I'm in a position, a short-term position, and I'll just suddenly say, that's the profit I wanted, I'm out. And I'm looking and I say, well, wait a minute, it's still got another couple of legs to go, whatever. Doesn't matter. At that moment, I just felt I felt comfortable taking the profit. And so you've got to know yourself. I don't do that often, but when I do it, it's just, I'm not even sure why. It's just that moment that I'm just saying, I want to do it. I've got what I wanted in a quicker time. Maybe that's whatever it is.
And I think anytime, just not to cut you off, but taking the money off the table, I think you can probably never regret the impulse. And, sometimes you could be decreasing your profit, right? You want to make sure that you're just not taking your trades off and locking in small profits and then never letting them run. And meanwhile, you're letting your losses run or something like that. But I think it's much more valuable to just get out of a position when you maybe you're panicking, maybe it's not going awry, maybe you just think I should take this off the table, versus the other side of it where you're just initiating a position that you're not sure of is a lot more risky behavior maybe.
Correct.
Possibly,
now,
right?
But you know what, here's another thing, and I'm sure that you're beginning to find it more and more, that it takes a lot of patience, but you really have to give each candle its due. If you're trading this is a 2-minute chart.
Okay.
You can get out of a trade because it suddenly looks red, but the candle hasn't completed. It's still got, say, 10 seconds or 30 seconds. This applies to a daily or month, doesn't matter. That's the reason why tomorrow night I'll be talking about monthly charts. Hey, you've got 2 weeks to go in August. Anything can happen. I can't talk about the monthly candles as if they're complete.
Sure.
I can talk about last month. So this is so now we're looking at, the reason why I brought that up is I'm looking at this 2-minute chart. This is live. This is right as we're talking.
Yes.
It's at 18,615. I have a rule of 136, and that's the best is when you have a consolidation right like here, where it took 1 bar and you started your next leg up. 1 bar and you hit the same peak, and the 4th bar, the 2nd bar after that was boom, you made a new high. That's the best. So if it takes 3 bars, that's good. But it really needs to spike right through the left side high to be able to feel that it used those 3 bars as an energy drink. When it takes 6, if you haven't recovered and made a new high by 6, I don't care whether it's a 1-minute chart or a 1-month bar, if you haven't done it in 6, you're looking at something that says, now this is like a restart, and if it actually takes out that high afterwards, after 6 bars, it means that you've got to consider 2 things. One, it was really struggling to do that. So the actual candle, if it closes nicely above the previous high, that's a good sign. If it just struggles and barely gets there and then pulls back, you've got to look at the potential for a double top. So I'm looking at the reason why I brought that up is you've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12 minutes. You're into the next bar. And it's struggling, but the technicals are still holding very well. You can see this black line, if I can make it a little thicker, you see that it's holding the black line, which is the 9-period moving average. And this thick one at the bottom here is, let me just double check, a 14-period moving average.
Okay.
So I have these different, I don't necessarily always do that. I like also to be able to do what I call the naked chart, the one that has absolutely nothing like this one here.
Okay.
It has very little.
Sure.
But what I've done actually for the last 3 to 4 months, I've been practicing like crazy, looking at charts that have the least amount of information on them, just using the notation, the bars. And I've found in my mind, I'm always playing, because I've used the MACD and stochastic for so many years. In my mind, I've got it in the background, even though it's not there on the chart. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Once you become so accustomed to something, the brain just works in a certain manner. It does.
And it's almost the same as when you're looking at your risk reward.
Sure.
There's a lot of stuff you don't actually have to do because you just know.
Sure.
I would not touch this vehicle under these circumstances because the risk is not there.
And you know what I really like to do is that you take something and you say, would I do this 100 times over and feel like I'd be successful, I think, or you think in those terms, because it's very easy to say, could I be successful at this moment? Well, of course you can, right? The market can go either way. The Dow can move 12 points in an instant. We all know that. But saying to yourself, let's say that trade wasn't a 3-to-1. Let's say it was just a 2-to-1, right?
Correct.
And say, geez, could I make this trade every single day and have the market, I lose unless it moves 12 points in your favor? Well, guess what? It's going to be flat or move the other way a lot of the time, let alone move in your direction maybe 10 points or less in 20 minutes. So maybe a 2-to-1 isn't enough money to do that trade 100 times and be successful. And I think if you think in that type of mentality, that's kind of the way that I like to look at it, that lets you, for those risk-reward analysis, say much more. It just adds perspective to the decision, because I think if you look at it on one time, it's very easy to say, of course that can happen.
And
that's more of a mental
too,
lesson, but I really think that it's easier to process. Can I be long-term successful with this philosophy if you think like that?
I love that, because to go with it, you're building mental templates that say, I don't want to even look at that pattern, doesn't work. Because over a period of time, you've said the success rate of this is much higher than that.
Sure, right.
And you've got to build up your library of techniques.
And a lot of that you're just processing with your mind too, where it's a subjective manner, right? And that's where you're just trying to get the best risk reward with the best probability in your favor from looking at those types of setups. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's see where the market is. We're still, that's, market's up 84, Dow's up 84, Nasdaq's up 24, S&P's up 8. We had oil up about 50 cents, right, Basil? We started to look at that. Let's take a look at some oil. I'm going to pull up.
Yeah, I was going to do two things. Just
please.
Before we go to the break, I was going to show you, this is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow night. You see it's like a propeller shaft, a sharp move down, sideways, and then a sharp move. That's the oil chart, very long-term chart. I'm going to be talking about that with the potential 1-to-1. I'm not sure it could be 1-to-1, but it's saying that oil could have come in for a lot of problems. And here's the 5-minute.
I just saw that chart and I had to say to myself, was oil really that high for a second? But go ahead,
yeah.
Amazing, yeah.
And here's the 5, so we'll talk about that as soon as we get back.
Okay, perfect. Basil Chapman, Tommy O'Brien, Nadex Bull Bear Binary Option Hour. Come on back, folks, for the final segment.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
It's 2016 and TFNN has a brand new programming lineup to kick things off. Starting January 4th, Swim Lessons by Thinkorswim and TD Ameritrade will be airing 5 days a week at noon Eastern Time. Join hosts Scott Connor, Kevin Hinks, and Cindy Faber as they host their daily options program live at noon 5 days a week with no commercials for the entire hour. Nico DeHaan and Paige Clark will be moving their program, Living a Primal Lifestyle, to twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 a.m. until 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Wake up with Nico and Paige and start your day off right. The Bull Bear Binary Option Hour by Nadex will now be live Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. Start and end the week with the three hosts, Tom O'Brien, Tommy O'Brien, and Darrell Martin, as they break down the world of trading binary options and spreads. For all the details on the new 2016 programming lineup, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Catch Basil Chapman as he uses his Chapman Wave methodology to call the markets. The Tiger Technicians Hour, next on TFNN.
Welcome back, folks. Basil Chapman, Tommy O'Brien, the Nadex Bull Bear Binary Option Hour. Dow is hanging within a point, it feels like, where it's been the entire hour up 83. NASDAQ up 23. S&P up 8. We've gotten a little bit of a pullback, Basil, in the Dow, 5 points. But you know what? In the span of what we're talking about, 5 points is not a bad pullback when we were only looking for 12 either way, as we were talking about some of those binaries.
That's very interesting, yes. And that's the ratio. Those are the aspects that you pick up by doing something over and over again.
Sure.
And you do it very quick. You pick that up very quickly.
Perfect.
So, yeah,
So
nice.
tell me more about Tuesday night, because it's tomorrow night. I know you have your show coming up next hour, but tell me so that with these listeners, because they're signing up for your newsletter as well. So if you can tie that into it as well.
Okay, so basically what will happen, this is for subscribers only, and I do this periodically, and a year ago we were looking for new highs. We're still looking for new highs. Most importantly, I'm going to be discussing, for instance, here are gold long-term charts. This goes up until the beginning, to the end of last year.
Just amazing charts everywhere in the market.
Everywhere, right. So I'm talking about, this is the most current chart right here, and what's really important about it is that I'm going to be discussing simple things like this 200-period exponential moving average that it hit exactly.
Wow.
And then it bounced, and
That's
what's going to happen after the bounce. It is amazing. So I'm going to be talking about chart formations. I'm going to be talking about the bigger picture. This is the time that I want to talk about what you should be doing, looking at in terms of portfolios, if you have 401s, whatever it is, if you have college funds for children or grandchildren, because it's going to be a very, very important period historically in the market.
The market is just at amazing highs, right? And you know, there could be a potential for big moves. I look forward to it myself, man. So tomorrow night, sign up right on the front page of TFNN, folks. Basil Chapman's opening call, new highs to come tomorrow night at 6 o'clock till 7:30. Okay, and one last look. We'll take a look at these.
Let's just see where that was going. It did have a little bounce, but not much. But here we are. So it's taken too much time. And remember what I said. 12 wasn't really enough because I was just expecting, even if it got to a D, it would just go a tad higher.
I would agree. And you know, there's sometimes, folks, as you keep your eye on it, because guess what? Right now you have 3 minutes, and the market's 6 points away from like a 7-to-1 risk reward. Those get a little dicey, but. If people have listened to the program, we've had Darrell on. He loves maybe some of those currency indices as you get near expiration. They're a high risk reward game, but in fast markets, man, defined risk is always a benefit as well when you're trading those types of things. For sure.
Defined risk is absolutely the place to be because that just it makes you at least feel like you know what you're up against immediately.
unplanned losses are something that if you can take those out of your trading, man, I think everybody would be helped for sure.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, Dow's up 85, folks. Nasdaq's up 24. S&P is up 9. Amazon's down 3 points. Facebook's down 1. We haven't gone into too many equities today, but there's really just not much happening in terms of what's on the board.
I'll be talking about in my show coming up. We're looking at a lot of resistance coming up. I think there's resistance. There is support, but we might have to find that it's
there's resistance because they've all already bounced off the moon as they've been shooting up, right?
Absolutely. Certain stocks. I mean, this chart on the right is just a 10-minute chart, but that pattern is not unfamiliar to us in many charts, in many stocks over the past year.
It's really remarkable in terms of what this market's done and what some of the bigger equities have done to carry it forward, especially coming this year, coming after the Brexit collapse just for those couple days, and then just back stronger than ever.
Isn't that interesting?
With the VIX going to lower levels as we keep going, right?
That's right. Well, that's part of this whole thing that I'm talking about tomorrow night. What does it all mean? I'm trying to put it together as cohesively as possible with fundamentals, technicals, and the speculation that I like to do.
Okay, Basil, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, and I look forward to the show next hour, and I look forward to tomorrow night, man.
Thank you very much, Tommy, and have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much, folks. Go to the front page of TFNN, click on that Nadex banner, download the demo account, try it out for yourself. Basil coming up at 11 o'clock. Great day of programming. Thanks, folks. Take care.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
This is TFNN.